More medications, less health. Something's broken. Traditional medicine manages symptoms, but true healing addresses root cause. I'm Josh Rimini, pharmacist turned healer. At Beyond the Pills, we merge ancient wisdom with modern day science to inspire you through stories of transformation, practical trainings, and holistic healing. Join me and other practitioners as we guide you towards vibrant health, body, mind, and spirit, and move beyond symptom management into true healing. Welcome back to Beyond the Pills, where we explore the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern science to uncover what true healing really means, body, mind, and spirit. I'm Josh Rimini, pharmacist turned healer and modern day medicine man. And today's conversation is one I've been looking forward to. It's a special one for me. My guest isn't just a powerful creator and teacher. He's someone I truly call a brother who's been walking this path with me for the past, 3-4 years. And we've gone deep. PJ Whitner, also known as PJ with Love. He's a creator. He's an entrepreneur. He's a modern mystic exploring the art of living awake. A former elite athlete and founder of a multi-million-dollar wellness brand, PJ spent years mastering performance until burnout invited him into presence. That collapse became initiation. Leading with Love is not only a movement, it's at the intersection of mindfulness, creativity, and modern spirituality. Through practices like meditation, fasting, breathwork, and storytelling, PJ helps others return from ego to essence and teaching the nervous system mastery, emotional literacy, and the architecture of coherence. His message bridges the science and spirit, why we get along so well. His message brings and remind us that calm isn't withdrawal, it's mastery. That devotion fuels innovation, and that love, lived consciously, is the ultimate strategy for creation, leadership, and fulfillment. Brother, it's been an honor to have you as my friend and to have you here. Welcome to Beyond the Pills.
We made it. Oh, so excited.
Dude, where the hell you been? Like, you're my boy, and you haven't been on the show. I guess it's all divine timing, right?
Divine timing, and in the journey that I've been on, I didn't realize the fear of being seen and putting yourself out there, especially in a new identity. There's a lot there. So I think I've made it. I'm on the other side of that.
We've been on this journey. There's so much to talk about, right? We've literally walked paths together through our own spiritual healing, dispensa, like all the things we've done together. So, I kind of want to start from the beginning, but this is going to be so much fun. I'm just so happy. I'm like excited that you're on here. Like I can just talk with my bro, but also in a beautiful way. Cause we've both gone through this ascension journey in our own ways. And I want to start from the beginning because people don't know you. They know, I know you, but you're an elite athlete, a high performer. And like, what did that world teach you? And what did burnout awaken in you?
Yeah, thank you. Those are great questions. So, tennis started at 12 years old. I got recruited. I was living in Florida. I grew up in San Francisco. I got recruited to Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy here in Bradenton, Florida. And so at 12 years old, I had a little bit of a gift, and then I turned the volume all the way up. And so my life went at 12 to tennis tournaments on the road, training 5-6 hours a day, and my life shifted. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be a professional tennis player. And I dedicated 12 to 18, traveling nationally, internationally, had some really good results. But right when I was getting ready to go to college, hurt my ankle, fracture between my ankle and my tibia, and didn't want to have surgery. And I was like, okay, this is going to help me get into college, but I know this is not what I want to do. And things just shifted from there. Um, but the lessons with tennis just I took for my whole life. I didn't realize this until really late in the spiritual game, but if you're an athlete, like you just always have that competitive mindset. It's just life's about winning, life's about competing, life's about overcoming. And you do get a little bit addicted to this identity of like showing, proving. At least that's what it was for me. So there's a lot of benefits in terms of identity, motivation, work ethic, but there's a lot of snags growing up in athletics as well that are pretty interesting.
Yeah, you were like, I've known you through that process of your story, right? And like you like it's not like pee-wee football. Like you were in it like every day doing the things, and you learn that resilience in your way. You know, we both learned our resilience in different ways. Me going through cancer and lots of traumas, but this is a different kind of resilience, right? You were moving in that sway. And when so there's always the gift we get from those, but there's the shadow too, right? It's the space of trying to perform, trying to be there for everybody else but yourself. Walk us through a little bit of, because I want to get to the PJ I know, the PJ,
Yeah,
the ascended one here that's has so many lessons and so many things to offer. I want people to know this backstory so we can get to the
totally.
good stuff.
So yeah, we can fast forward through it, but I think now that I'm looking back and this is coming up just this moment, is that I didn't transition that identity consciously. And so all of a sudden I went from a tennis player to, more of an academic and then entering the workforce. I first started in commercial real estate and then there was no transition process. So to live in an identity for 10 years and then not honor it or find a way to shift out, I'm looking back and I'm saying, wow, maybe there's still work for me to do with that. Now, I got to a place where I think it was in my early mid 20s where a key moment for me was I was working commercial real estate in LA after college and in the grind. And I got a phone call from my family that my dad needed emergency heart surgery. And I remember wanting to cry and feel those emotions. And this feeling came up from my stomach and my body fought it off. I was unconscious to this. I wanted to feel these feelings, but it came up and I had really acute pinch in both my temples. And I was like, whoa. And that's a really key moment in my life because I knew that I was numb. I was disconnected from my emotions. So that plays into, kind of later when we met, where I had already done work. When we met, let's say that was about 5, 6, 7 years later, but I had been an entrepreneur. I shifted. I started a business, a probiotics business, scaled that, was in the hustle furthermore. I did some work with Tony Robbins. There was some light meditational things that I had doing, but I hadn't gone super deep. So that disconnect from emotions and from like the truth, the essence of who I was still evident in how I was going about life, just so hustle focused. And that's when we met.
Yeah, we met literally learning our signature speeches for our businesses, right? And how we got partnered. Like it's the synchronistic-y stuff, right? It's like we got partnered to like hold space for each other as we built this whole signature speech out, which truly, like literally landed my first keynote speech was that speech that we recorded. Like I got my first big gig from that experience, but it wasn't the speech. It was like that we were paired together. We started learning about each other's stories and it kind of just took off. We just became friends, right? We were following up with each other. It wasn't really a
Right.
business thing.
Not at all.
And some guy named Josh convinced you to go to a thing called Dispenza.
So you were the tipping point because my brother had gone to one or twice. Oh, sorry about that. It's on Do Not Disturb. Sorry, that's my brother.
As you were just saying, your brother. That's how. Like, yeah, it did just happen.
Yeah. So you were the tipping point, and Dispenza was already in my field. My brother had gone. I had this book, and I might have even dabbled in some meditations, but I wouldn't consider taking a break from the business because it was like, oh, it's a 7-day, week-long. So not only do you and I hit it off, what put me into that public speaking retreat was last minute friend of a friend. And
Say
I just,
yes.
okay. And I was local.
Going into the unknown.
We were in two completely different places. You were like prepared and with a speech and ready. And I was like, I have a business, I have a product, I have a mission, but like, what am I doing here? And you were that kindred soul. And we instantly just like connected. And I looked up to you in many ways. It was like, this guy is so awesome, and he's so heart led in pharmacy, which was like which took me a second to put together. And so I just thought you're the coolest anomaly I've ever seen. And
well, we dragged each other. Like for me, because I had read all his books for years. Like I was like, oh, this guy speaks to science and this and that. But like I had never gone to an event either. And I'm like, I'm going. We had a mutual friend at that time. Kind of, I knew, you knew. And we all just kind of just said, yeah, let's do it. And like, for me, witnessing your blast off in that event, like to me was like that next trigger for you and for me, and like how we've gone down this spiritual yet grounded path of, truly what I feel and what I've seen in you and what me is like, that's what unlocked this permission to like go all in on life and do what really feels right. So here we are, right? This thing called PJ with love and moving this thing. Like you've got so many stories. I don't even know where to go. Like,
yeah. Well, we can start with the first Dispenza. So because you were the tipping point for me, and we both agreed at the goodbye brunch when that first weekend we met, we both realized that like, oh, Dispenza is something that I've wanted to go do. You're like, me too. But you knew that the tickets sell out like that. And you knew that you had to be dialed in right when the tickets went live. And so not only that, and then we followed up and we kept talking. Then the day that the tickets were live, you texted me. And I was like, all right, like, I'm excited. Like, this is a God wink. And also I'm getting the accountability and it's like up front. And I was like, all right, I guess we're doing this. And I got the ticket, not even really knowing if I could make it, because I didn't, talk to, my business partner yet or anybody. Like, I'm going to take a week off, which was unheard of. And I still remember my dad was like, are you kidding me? Like, you're in the middle of so many things right now. And my business partner's like, if you go, like, this better change your life. And it was like so unheard of, because I was just working.
I remember the phone call because I remember where I was, and you were like, I can't go. I don't think I'm going to go. And I'm like, I didn't force you. I remember it because I was just like, I'm going. It's in the unknown. I'm going to figure it out. And then all of a sudden you're just like, you know what? I got to do this. I got to do it. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go. And it was like, and then in that week, we learned how to embrace the unknown, right? How to get into this space. And woo, that was a journey, man. That was liftoff in both our ways, in different ways, but
totally. I think that was the first, it shifted me inward. I was like, I was at a point in my life where I was like, man, is it all about just chasing and external and money and status and like just feeling good on LinkedIn? And the more I was stacking wins, and wanting to just share that out, I was like, wait, is that what winning is? Is that what it's like? There was like something beneath that was saying there's something more. And so when I went to that first week in Dispenza, I think third day, my heart chakra just exploded in a walking meditation. And then fifth day, you were with me when I had a divine experience and a somatic response as well. I was shaking after a really deep meditation from 8 till 3 in the morning, and purging that whole time as well. And so that to me was also an initiation of like the internal journey. And there's so much more in the intangible sense that we get to uncover. So I think you and I were like locked into that point. We're like, okay, like there's so much more in this universe.
Pretty fast in that space is like, there was the two things. It was like unlocking the heart, connecting these was a big part of my journey. And then what you said is what I think drew me to these things was those deeper questions of like, is there more? Is this it? Like all that stuff on that outside, we both had some level of success, but there was just that. This is a lot of this podcast is like people start realizing there's something more, there's something beyond that. That I feel like to me that week was how I got really deep within me to understand that there's a whole nother universe out there that's not outwardly focused, but inwardly focused. And I think that's what kind of caught us both into what I think in shamanism, they call the wounded healer's journey, but like how we both have gone through our own ascension, but we're in the place of like really finding our way of guiding and helping other people in our own ways too. And that's kind of where PJ with Love came from, right? And so when did With Love stop being just a name and start becoming a way of life for you?
That one's more recent. There was many identities and journeys in the last 3 years for me. And some were more towards, first it was Dispenza, then it was more towards shamanic pursuits. And then
we've both been through those experiences in our own ways.
Yeah.
In our own divine paths. Like we never like had a conversation and says, you know what, I'm going to go do shamanic stuff now. It's like we both kind of did it. We're out here and we're like, what is going on? Like this is a whole nother world, right? It's like the energy world, and we've gone through our own plant medicine journeys and things like that. And so we can maybe, and you've had other big experiences too, which have got you even more closer to source and God and this divinity within you expressively, because I've seen it, and you've speaked about returning from ego to essence. And what does that look like for you in real life, and for you and those also who you're guiding? This is a big part. I think people really need to understand the essence of you. Like there is this, people call it in the spiritual world, like ego dissolution and yada, yada. But like, there's a true lived experience that you've lived, similar to my own journey. Like I teach through my experience now, and I want people to get a little essence of that.
Yeah. So I think there's a few really key experiences that contribute a lot. Definitely plant medicine, definitely dealing with the collapse of business and burnout, making new choices. I'd lived controlled by my shadow. I lived in coherence. I knew something was wrong. Frantic energy, scarcity, fear driven. So just being in that place, and there's no way out when you feel trapped. I've felt enslaved to my coping mechanisms, things that were keeping me small. And so the heart is the first step, I believe, and it was for me. So it was one, opening there's the heart chakra, but just being able to connect to your feelings. And I had decades of repressed energy. And I was able to look back at my life and connect with my inner child, connect with the different parts of me in really critical experiences of my life. And I saw somebody really wanting to prove themselves, and I saw a tainted energy throughout the whole life. So, first was connecting my heart and feelings and realizing where I was. Secondly, it was looking at some of these experiences. There was a lot of reframing involved. There was um, tapping in, spending time in meditation, tapping into the quantum plane, or tapping into
Yep.
so tapping into a higher level. And once you can start tapping into an energy and getting beyond yourself, then for me, that was what took me from being trapped in my mind and my thoughts to the heart. And in the heart, it's gratitude. It reconnects to us, to our breath, and we begin to slow down. And that's where this intuition comes down. Like, wait, it's all about intellect. No. There's something far more profound than the brain, and it's the intelligence of the heart. And that's the beginning of coherence. And so being someone that was an athlete that hustled for, decades, was always, I always thought I was only as good as my last achievement. Telling myself to slow down, it took me years and I had to keep slowing down, keep letting go, keep surrendering. And it was like an onion, just going deeper and deeper in the layers. But once you do, then, and you learn how to listen, then there's something that really wants to guide you. And that is our soul. And so I went from this period from identifying as like, I'm a body, like I want material things, consumption, sense pleasures, desires, proclivities, to wait, there's something more. And then connecting to source, connecting to an eternalness that I believe we all are. And once that shifted, I was like, whoa, maybe I didn't get that multi-million-dollar exit of my business, but like I tapped into something that I resonate with, going multiple lifetimes, incarnations, without getting to this point. And I was like, man, I've turned inward. I am able to really connect with my soul in such a deeply intimate, fulfilling way. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. And once you have that much, have access to that much love, all you want to do is share it with others. And
Well, yeah, it's kind of, I've not experienced, but I've studied a lot with near-death experiences. And the same thing goes with people. They say it's more real than real, right? It's that feeling behind the feeling that's just more real than anything in this outside world, is that feel, like that infinite level of abundance or love. And like, and we've studied the science of this now. We know a little bit more, but like it's infinite. There's no ending to it. And when you experience that viscerally and somatically, because that's, I believe, right? I believe we're in this, we're divine beings living a human experience with all these senses. And when you sense and feel what you just described, and what I know other people have described as well, and what I've described, it's bigger than big. It's way more real than this real. And you got to it's kind of like in plant medicine journeys too. Like you have to explain it through analogy because there's no word for it.
totally. And I've had a lot of funny analogies come to me that are so.
Well, share some. I want to hear yours.
So the first one that was in that first Dispenza week was like the whispers that I was hearing during the meditation. So first, like the first day we get there, and these are like multi-hour meditations. And I mean, I had done maybe dabbled close to that, but I was uncomfortable. So you're just sitting with your thoughts, and there's like loud judgment, blame, guilt, shame, unworthiness. Like you're dealing with all the different layers of shadow and all these, the loud mind. And I think day 2 or day 3, I started hearing like, let go. It's like, what? Surrender, let go. I was like, yeah. And I ended up starting to understand that I had been like willing life, like I was holding the wheel of a car in a kung fu grip, and
White knuckle. White knuckle.
this will happen my way. And the universe was softly like, we actually have something so much better waiting for you. Are you willing to let go? So that's the first analogy. The second one is you're on a boat and you don't know how you got there. You wake up, you're on a lifeboat, and you have about a week's supply left of food. And so everything survival mechanism will tell you, stay on the boat. Like you have a week left at least, and someone will find you. But all of a sudden, you have to calm down. So you calm down the situation. Okay. Then you start hearing a voice. Jump out of the boat and swim that way. And you're like, what? What are you, nuts? No, I'm going to stay here. I have food. So if you stay on the boat, you would live a good life. Like you would survive. You would be okay. Do you want that? Do you want to settle? Or are you willing to jump out of the life raft, swim in a direction, that intuition, that's something that you believe in, something bigger, greater than yourself? And I tell you, I jumped out of the boat. So.
Well, I love that analogy because it's like Michael Singer calls it like the surrender experiment, right? It's like and when I was going through my healing journey, as you know, like the big deal, like I had done the things and there was something left, something inside me. Like I don't get the whispers. I get this, I call it the poof, like the little, it's just a little. And if for me, and that's what intuition is, if you're not quite going to catch that little whiff of air, you might miss it. And there was this thing inside me. I don't know how or don't know where, it's like, I need to go to Peru. I need to study this with these kind of people that have been doing it forever. And I didn't know how, I didn't know why. I was like my life raft. It was like, you have this life and this family and this business and all this stuff. And I was like, no, I got to do that. I don't know how or why. I'm just going to get it there. And as soon as I made that yes, the yes to the alignment, right? The yes to, and the breadcrumbs were just like, bloop, 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 bloop. Here you go. Like the path just formed, like the golden, it's like the Wizard of Oz, the golden path, right? Just formed automatically because isn't that the formula? The formula is when you're supposed to jump off the boat and everything else is telling you, your outside world is telling you safety and this, and all of a sudden you do it anyway. This is what entrepreneurship is, right? When you started your business in the backyard of a kitchen doing kefir water, you had no freaking clue, but you did it. You said, and then you were in all the Whole Foods and There's just because that, to me, like I love that analogy. It's like, yeah, jump off the boat, not willy-nilly, not just like somebody told you to do. It was like there was a knowing, right? That knowing is it comes from something bigger than you. It's not you. It's this thing that knows the life, knows you. And so I love that analogy. That was a good one.
Yeah, so Peru for you. I like the.
We're not telling people to jump off the bridge here.
No.
But we're here to say, like, when it aligns with you and you say yes, regardless of the outside, when you do it with self-richness, self-full is what my friend says, then it becomes intentionally purposeful. Because it's for a greater good. It's for you, not just you, but for some other greater good. It feels and it is in that energetic alignment. And I think a lot of people realize that when they made those decisions, even though everything else around them was telling them no, but they knew it was the right decision to make, generally works out.
Yeah, I think the key thing for me was switching from intellect to intuition. Yes. And once you're no longer looking at just knowledge and grabbing, but you're aware, you recognize that your awareness can expand. And the first time you feel that awareness expand, or like it's like a blind, it's like a it's a blind spot that you're like, oh my gosh, and then you're like, "Ugh," and like, wait, that's that's incredible, and and then there's an energy to the expansion of awareness, and you just want to keep going with that. So that's kind of been the last 3 or 4 years for me with, you know, near death experiences, plant medicine, incredible meditation retreats, and just spiritual teachings going into ancient wisdom. Been really inspired by Eastern teachings. Been reading the Gita for the Bhagavad Gita for 2.5 years now. Just came across, not just came across, but been digging deeper into Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda. So a lot of Eastern things have been really inspiring, and this wisdom goes back thousands of years.
Yeah.
And
So that's
so,
why I think we both connect so well in our journeys is there's no one formula, but at the same time, they're kind of like there's been teachings in all different aspects, especially in the Eastern. Like for me, it just drew me to the Americans. It drew me to learn the ancient wisdom of the shamans and the healers, probably because I'm moving in that plant medicine, modern day medicine man world that I'm in is, you know, learning those, especially in the South Americas and going through that whole journey in different ways in different places of the world is like, it's not shamanism. I'm just learning like what's been done for thousands of years in the healing world that are now equating to this modern day world, this modern day science, like the Dispenzas and all those other people in the world that are teaching it from a different perspective. That's why I think I'm having this conversation with people all the time. It's not or, it's and. It's like ancient wisdom and modern science. We're putting these together so we can. I love what you say, saying all the time is it's not intellect, it's intelligence. Intelligence is knowing. And of course, I can throw the science to it all the time. There's 80% of the nerves go from here to here, not here to here. So we have this innate intelligence, this knowing that we've forgotten about because of the age of information. Look at AI. Like we have all the information is accessible to us in seconds. It's not getting us any closer to wholeness unless we connect it with our hearts. This is what we're talking about, right? And you and I are on the same mission of like helping, especially men, connect this to this and become more whole. We've been doing men's work for a long time in men's circles and blending that into the science of and the spirituality of healing.
yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, but I would say for me, there's definitely a lot of baggage that men carry. Both genders have their own evolution of expressing themselves in greater harmony, I would say. But for me, I think it was dealing with the pattern was dealing with my own stuff. There was family lineage and family patterns that were interesting. There were gender related stuff. There were all past relationships and forgiveness and cord cutting and Ho'oponopono. And there's a lot of really cool techniques to just kind of clean up and take back our energy from certain situations. So those are a few key things. But with men right now in particular, there's a really exciting thing happening. We're seeing men come alive. We're seeing men reconnect to their feelings. We're seeing men being challenged right now to step into a greater embodiment of leadership. And I think we can step up. And it starts with balance. It starts with taking control of our nervous systems. It starts with putting our phone down, being present with those around us, for our partners. And there's a lot of healing of inner child and stuff as well, because I believe that the wisdom of men was broken. It was passed down, and in some way in history it was cut. That wisdom wasn't passed down. So there's like a lack of initiation, or
Yeah, for sure.
like that the trials that men typically had. And when you took those away, you know, we had emotional boys, you know, that were in men's bodies, and I was one of them. I would say I'm still, you know, figuring out who the man I want to be. And that's been a really beautiful journey of like kind of bringing together, bridging the child from the man, from the spirit. So
Agreed. Well said. And I didn't expect us to go down that path, but like there is something to be said about that. And I'm in my men's circles here in Charlotte. My neighbor's been doing men's work for a very long time, and he's very active in this thing called the Joshua Project, which is teaching, especially boys that are at that initiation type age, especially people that don't have father figures, and putting them through an initiation
wow.
weekend and teaching them the archetypes, the king, the lover, the magician. And I've experienced it. It's powerful, even as a man, to go like to see and witness these young men become men. And I agree. I think we've lost that sort of initiation of sorts. And I feel kind of connected to help in that space. And I feel like we're here to do some of that. I do want to go back though, because you talked about the things you're doing, but like, how does the nervous system become the gateway to consciousness and creativity for you? Because you talked about grounding, you talked about men staying like holding their emotions and being grounded in embodiment work. Because a lot of people talking about that. You and I have had a lot of conversations there, but I want to hear from your perspective, because the second part is I want you to tell people how you rewired your system from stress and burnout to this calm, coherent state, because that's a state we're in right now, right?
Yeah. So I it starts with meditation or breath work or anything that you're willing to begin to engage, begin to face the stuff that we've been bearing. I mean, no one is taught how to regulate their nervous system growing up, feel their emotions. And so we all tend to have underlying trauma, wounds. And so access first is accessing the heart. And that is, for me, it happened through meditation. It could happen through understanding the chakra system, which is a beautiful system, or 7 chakras. It could also be connecting with nature. It could be exercise. It could be something that puts you in the driver's seat where you're willing to begin more of that inner work. For me, it was meditations. There was some plant medicine experiences involved that really helped me understand how in control my ego was. There was a shattering of identity. There was inspiration from a lot of different readings, like Michael Singer, Dr. Dispenza were pretty early on for me. Tony Robbins, even before then, was just in terms of asking questions and being able to field, you know, truth within yourself. And then singing actually had been a really unique experience, one that I didn't expect to happen. And I was living up in New York for half a year. And this was when I was still in transition and figuring out if I was going to continue with my business. So I was in this like kind of period where I was like, let me try some arts. Let me try to do some other things and just see where my heart and soul, where they want to go towards. And I did a singing lesson, and I felt so constrained while I was singing. And so much came to me in that lesson of how I was taught singing in a very strict upbringing in San Francisco. And I was in the boys chorus when I was 7, 8, 9. I was a soprano. I had a beautiful voice. I sang at my cousin's wedding, and I sang at a Giants game, the national anthem. But the way I was taught was so constrictive. And so I'm there singing, and I remember I was asked to go for a note, and my brain couldn't let me go for that note because I thought it was out of range, and I didn't want to sound off. And so I knew that there was neural wiring shift available for me, and it became this modality of harmonics, which has enhanced my ability to move energy within my body. It's changed the way that I cry. It has changed the way that I access different feelings and frequencies. And it's humming. There's so many different ways to approach um, energy and emotions. And our fifth chakra, our throat chakra, it's such a gift. And I believe it's actually a central way that we really bring heaven on earth, because through our word, the word of God is how we all believe that this universe was created, through the vibration. And we have that same gift. We can initiate vibration, vibratory sound with this. And so do we just use it for words? What else can we use it for? And that is a really beautiful query that I welcome everyone to explore.
I love that. And then, of course, I got the left brain science in me going, when you hum, you increase nitric oxide by 1,500%, which increases oxytocin, which is the love molecule. So it's like this, you think about it, you convert that think into sound. Sometimes we just say words, but like mantras and different types of connections is how you create the frequency and the energy, which then has that. I love the word harmonics and how you use it, because it's harmony, it's harmonic frequency, because we all know frequency is energy, and energy is, vibration. And this is how we do it. How we do it with our voice. And so I love that part of it. We got to get into the stuff PJ's doing now, though. Like, tell us about the movement with love, what it means, what it stands for, what's unfolding within this for you.
Totally. So I guess recognizing that this is a game of mirrors, we're here in the 3D, it's polarity. And so anything that that is being expressed, or that you're choosing right now, a lot of people are in patterns or they're in loops, and they're here to basically transmute that experience into something greater. And so I guess the question is, if you could be the greatest you could be, what would you choose? And for me, I choose love. And so with love, everything I do, how can I merge it with love? And then there's a point where we go beyond doing to simply being. And so how can I radiate? How can I embody the most love that I can? That's living through my heart. That is tuning in to the earth, being in rhythm with the earth, and surrendering and allowing to be fully animated by something beyond myself. So that's where like devotion comes in as well. And as soon as I started this journey, things have happened that I can't explain. And so you open yourself up to the synchronicities that many people discuss, and you start communicating, I believe, with the universe in this really unique, potentially romantic, passionate way. There's humor involved. There's sadness. It's happened even sporadically when I'm reading the Gita or in a meditation. Like I'll just start laughing, or I'll start bawling, and it's just I believe we're all part of feeling and moving through this, and all this energy that's moving on the earth. So for me, how I want to show up is committing to putting loving content out there. And so I am pj.withlove on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And so I just began that journey of getting beyond myself, my insecurities of being seen in this radically loving, authentic way. And so finding the ways to show up and share love and light. And now it's coming up, some programs and things have been coming to me of how do I help other people connect deeper with their heart, connect to their light, create from a conscious place and expand. And so there's a 7-day reset program, the 7-day return, that's going to be about a 20-30 minute nightly program that takes people through different caveats to enhance their own presence. And that's the difference between being able to have relationships it's relationships are really difficult when we're not all here. And when we have the phone, when we're thinking about the past and the future, when we have a lot of things that we're worrying about, it hinders, it dilutes that presence. And that is, I believe, our divinity. Our divinity is our attention. And that's what the outside world wants more than ever. It wants all of us. And if you go the path of consumption, if you go the path of external fulfillment, that's a never ending road. This, on the other hand, when we turn inside, when we focus on presence, when we focus on love, it's something quite different. So that's a path and a choice that I want to help people through, and how it relates to their own life. And there's some other things that have been coming up too, which I just did. I'm in the middle of a 4-day fast with the full moon. And I realized that it's been so awesome that I want to also open that up as a container next year to get people towards, deeper fasting and moon cycles as well.
Why would the moon cycle? Tell me.
Yeah, I think it's monthly, so it's kind of like a reset. And I think I would start people with about a 24-hour fast. There's energetic, spiritual, health benefits to fasting that are really significant. It also it shifts our relationship with desire, with dopamine, which are
100%.
pretty
Yeah.
rampant today. So for me, all the techniques and all the programs and things that I would initiate are about expanding awareness, about helping people have greater sovereignty or agency within themselves. And to, we talk about the matrix and the program, but there's something to it. When you live your life so busy and your adrenals are shot and you don't really understand yet your nervous system, you're a product of your environment. And so what I hope for people is that they ask questions, they get curious, they lead life with a little bit of with wonder, their childlike wonder, regain that, and open up to a different type of experience. So I hope that for others.
That word awareness is just something it's, to me, well, when you're aware, you can't be unaware. You become aware. But the other part is awareness is a choice, right? Where we put our attention is a choice. And the outside world, especially that type of meta, is like you said so nicely, is like its job is to keep you unaware of your inner. And it takes work. This is why I tell you all the time, I'm not on social. I just don't do that. Not because I don't love being connected in the world. I have LinkedIn and this podcast to connect me to people, but I don't have room for that right now in my life because of all the things that are coming. I love synchronicity. It's awe and synchronicity are my favorite words. And I tell people all the time, I was like, I don't have a gratitude journal anymore. I have a synchronicity journal, because when you are aware and you are attuned and you're more in yourself, whole, I guess is a good way. Like you see it, it's there all the time. And at the same time, when you're not aware and when you are focused on whether you call it negative or low vibrational frequency energies of like lack and, scarcity, like you said, it was like, that's also a law of attraction and how you get it back to you. So, you always have those things that work with that. So so you're working with people now, you're doing these new exciting.
So new offerings, and offering some one-on-one as well, which is some energy work. There could be some chakra balancing. There could be some story reframing. I could definitely kind of ask about different things regarding like the body and the chakras and the stories. Sometimes even going into traumas in wounded areas. And I have this protocol called hugging the cactus, which is going into, these really deep moments and shifting it. And it's out there, but it's changed lives, and it happens when we can slow down and refine this journey. So it's I just feel so blessed to help people through these type of things. Yeah.
You and I have similar, let's call them avatars, people we love working with, entrepreneurs, high achievers, because we were those people, right? We were those people that didn't slow down. So I know you. So it's what you say is because you've lived it. And like when I talk about longevity and wholeness and body, mind, spirit, it's not because I've learned it in a book. I've definitely spent well over 20,000 hours learning this stuff, but I've lived it. And so when you say the things you're saying of working with people is because some of this has been transmitted to you, but you've also lived these experiences. So that's why I think there's some beautiful authenticity to that. And I love working with people. But you bridge neuroscience, performance, spirituality so naturally now. It's just like it's your essence of who you are. How do you translate this modern, I would call that the modern mysticism, for high achievers and entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So I think it starts with, can you acknowledge that there's something greater than yourself?
Mm.
And with that acknowledgement, there's reverence and there's openness. And so I don't think it's, hey, I have the answers, but are you willing to question and explore and play this game of energy and frequency? And if we can get there and have fun, and I think there's levity involved as well, because it can be really heavy. It can get heavy. And so I think you and I, something that's really awesome is that we've had so much fun along the way, and we're just really deep, really, healing heaviness
We've
that we had
gone
to get
deep,
back.
the deepest of deep, I think, in many ways. And when you just said brevity and levity, because when I met you, you were like sunny culture, Johnny Sunshine, wearing a suit with the big break.
Yeah.
And um I gotta expose you here a
Say
little
it.
bit because we're
Do it.
brothers.
Do it.
Um one of your nicknames that we've created over the years is because you had the big beard and you're just very spiritual, was Goofy Jesus.
Yeah. I,
And to
that was
me,
fun.
like that is the essence for you because it's like you're very spiritual, you're highly you ask those questions that don't need answers. You're awesome. You've been a good coach and friend for me. But you play that levity, that comedian kind of feel because to me, the same thing with shamans, like they literally do deep work and they freaking laugh half the time because they make fun of themselves in life because there's a lightness to that. When you're like, you know what? The world might be you might feel like it's shutting down, but it's like, yeah, it's gonna be all right. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. Everything's good. And sometimes I use that and to some people it's very offensive, but I think you got to be a little goofy. You got to be a little fun or else it just becomes so heavy, right? Cuz it is we're doing deep work too, you know?
Inner child. I think there's some innocence there. There's some trust. I think it comes from a place of trust, knowing that at the end it's going to be okay. And if anything happens between here and there, what in what way do we choose to go through that trial? So if the journey is the destination, then shouldn't we laugh along the way?
Enjoy the journey, right? Not the destination. I always use the analogy of like if you keep chasing the sunset, you'll never get it. It's always moving, right? And so, you know, that stillness over that hustle is do you like I feel like that's a like we've uncovered here. Like, why do you believe stillness rather than hustle is becoming the new competitive advantage as a competitive person that you used to be?
I think it has to do with your point of resonance. So if I'm hustling for it, there's an inherent scarcity or lack that I'm seeking to grab. that something is outside of me. But there's greater flow in allowing for things to move towards you. So I believe that we are a magnet. And so embodying that magnet, what would you choose to be, to magnify towards you? And you say, okay, what am I pulling versus what am I chasing to me is pushing. And I just, for me, I spent a lifetime already pushing. So I've tried that. I've tried it, all those ways. And I felt good about myself for a little bit, but I believe I was tapping from a finite source. And to me, it's like it's coffee, and it was proving. It was literally it was unworthiness. That's what I saw within my life, and that's what allowed me to be an international tennis player, build a multimillion-dollar business, do so many incredible things, all my achievements. But one day, living from the heart in presence, to me, is worth more than all of those achievements.
Mm. And you've lived it through your experience. This isn't something we learn in a book. We know.
Yeah. And it's something greater. That's the energy that I want to contribute to this plane, to this universe. And so knowing that, then how do I reorient my values? And one of them, I was focused on the material. In Vedic, they call it the Maya, the delusion. And the other, you're focused on simply being connected to it all and loving each breath, being grateful for each breath, for being fully present and admiring, and being so excited with everybody we interact with. There's a complete shift there.
Yeah.
And I think we're at a time where the world is upgrading. So it's exciting.
Where do you think we're going? Like, I know, like we're in the same circles of like the seekers and the finders and the people that are raising consciousness. But like, I feel like we're at a 5,000 year cycle of humanity shifting into something completely new. I want to know what you think, where we're going.
Well, I'll give you some different hot takes here, but one is the yugas, and that's the astrology and the science coming from India, and they believe that there's these yuga systems which are about a 24,000 year cycle. And so
Yeah.
we just came out of the ascending Kali Yuga, which was the darkest period. So there's two periods of each, descending. And so we had the descending Kali Yuga and then the ascending. And now we are in the Bronze Age. So in the Bronze Age, you're going to begin to see an expansion of consciousness, of technology. So that there's a general uplift, which I'll point to that. Then I would say there's a divide that's happening, and it's, are people going to lean towards connection with self and to source, to God, or are they going to choose technology? So there's like this transhumanist, thing that's happening. And I use Chat GPT, and I enjoy technology, but it doesn't replace our connection with source. It doesn't replace the original frequency, the truth, which is love. And so other people are going to, have their own journeys to discern what is right for them. And that's where this split is happening. I think we're at the first point where there's multiple realities happening right now. And you can feel it. There's somebody that you'll interact with and you're like, we're on two different universes, and you are. And it's because people with different points of resonance and living in different frequencies are projecting the realities in completely different ways. And so I think that split is going to be more abrupt, and I think it's going to be very peaceful. I don't think anything bad is going to happen, but people that are just still wanting to choose these other types of realities are going to be able to choose that free will. And there are other people that are turning inward and are recognizing deeper parts of themselves. And when you go deeper within yourself, that's where you are connecting to source and connecting to a deeper part of reality. And that's really beautiful. I just realized.
See the sun coming out in front of your PJ with love is coming. I
Yeah.
see it. This is beautiful. Like the sun just came through.
It did. So I think there's the yugas, there's the divide that's happening. And the last thing I'd say is that love is inevitable. Love is one. God is one. It's inevitable. I think any inversion, any other forces can simply delay the inevitable. And so with that level of trust, and we just continue to surrender and move towards each other, that's what's really beautiful right now. So like all I want to do is figure out what my greatest gifts are and serve. And I think we're gonna have a lot of other people in that same frame of like, I'm here to serve. I'm here to do something greater than myself. And that might be an evolution of capitalism and the way we distribute resources and work on projects and solve, world issues and so on. That's exciting.
I love that. And that's the essence of being human, right? Is to serve to the greater good, to your greatest capacity. And you can't do that until your bucket's over full. So doing you first has been a big journey for me as well. And I've been honored and privileged and grateful to be on this journey with you, my brother. And no doubt it is just the beginning and it's never ending. And I feel when you understand that as a positive, life turns in a really cool way, right? It's like, it's never ending. No, it's never ending. And it's good because it gets better and better and better. So find him, PJ.withlove on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Man, you are a force of nature. You are just, I love seeing you just come out into this beautiful, like, being that you are, and this light being that you are, shining light on the world and doing it in your way, which is where I think a lot of us can learn from that. So this has been fun. We're going to do another one. I know.
Yeah. There's a lot more to unpack here.
We could go for hours. This is why it's like, no, we got to work it around the hour and we'll figure it out. And here we are. All right, my friend, I will see you on the other side. This has been a fun episode.
Love you all. Thank
you. Love you, brother. Until next time, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Stay well. Thanks for joining me today on Beyond the Pills. If our mission to de-prescribe 10 million unnecessary medications resonates with you, share this episode, subscribe, and leave a review. Whether you're a practitioner or someone ready to reclaim your health, visit rx2wellness.com for free resources to begin your journey. Together, let's go beyond the pills and co-create a world of vibrant health and true healing. Until next time, live better and stay well.